Vinland Saga was by far my favorite show of 2019, and honestly, probably one of my favorite anime ever. For me, just about everything about the show is executed extremely well, from the fantastic character writing, to the constantly evolving plot, to the direction and animation. So today, I want to discuss why you should watch Vinland Saga. A quick warning, this video is only about the 2019 anime adaptation, as I have just started reading the manga myself. Vinland Saga takes place in 1013 AD in England, which has almost been completely conquered by the Danish. The series draws many elements from historical accounts to create a historical fiction setting. Vinland Saga follows our main character, Thor Fionn, who was born in Iceland. The political landscape is based on the real conflict between Denmark and England at the time, which provides a very Game of Thrones-like vibe to the show. The rooted reality of the plot provides an immediate weight to all of the encounters in the show. The story starts out seemingly as a revenge story for our main character, Thor Fionn. A story for him to explore revenge through the dark and edgy imagery, but on a scale that seemed very small. However, the show develops to be far more than that, as the politics of the world play a massive part in the scope of Vinland Saga's story, giving the sense that decisions that certain characters have to make will have a vast impact on the world at large. So the plot walks the line from an intense revenge tale to an all-out war filled with political drama. One thing that I really respect about the plot of Vinland Saga is its pacing. Vinland Saga takes the time to move through its story. The plot never feels rushed so we can get to the next conflict, but rather the opposite. The first handful of episodes feel like a prologue to the rest of the story, providing background and context for the rest of the plot. It is at this pace where the character moments and themes rise from the violence and action. Me saying the first few episodes of the plot feel like a prologue is also a bit ironic because the finale of the series is literally titled The End of Prologue. And I say that as a good thing, because the first season of Vinland Saga never feels like it is just context for a future story, but it is at the end of the season when you see the potential for the story to evolve even more in the future. What complements the thoughtful pacing of the show so well is the direction of the series. No doubt a huge reason for the solid direction in the show is the original source material, but Wit does a great job at bringing that source material to life. Each shot is carefully composed to stunning effect, always revealing something new about the characters or situation. Vinland has many beautiful wide shots of scenery, often with just one character in frame, not only showing the isolation that is a constant theme in the series, but allowing the audience to ruminate on the themes and ideas of the show. The animation is also fantastic, and while not being quite as eye-poppingly gorgeous as a show like Demon Slayer, the animation still impresses. The images say so much with their simplicity and always work to echo what the characters or audience is feeling. Speaking of great animation and direction, the fight scenes in the show are another huge selling point. The fight scenes are exhilarating, with many of the characters having the strength to defeat dozens of men easily. I am particularly fond of any fight that Thorkel is a part of, because of his brute force that is brought to every single encounter. What raises these fights to another level, though, is the character writing woven into each conflict. You can tell so much about each character from the way they approach each fight, which not only makes every encounter feel unique, but often advances the characters' arcs. Some battles in the show are purely tactical, while others are emotional outbursts. And when you mix these encounters with the slower pace and small character moments of the show, each encounter feels like the emotional death battles that they actually are. And characters die through many encounters in the show, which helps remove some of the plot armor that faces our main characters. But the glue that holds together the plot, animation, and fight scenes and gives them so much weight is the fantastic character writing. Most of the characters who are introduced are seemingly one-note characters, having a specific character type, and that is it. But as the show moves forward, we see the motivations and nuance to every single character. Even though Thor Fionn is the main character of the series, there are many episodes where he has little involvement with the plot while we focus on other characters in the show. Quickly, I will be discussing some spoilers in terms of character development to illustrate why I am so fond of them, so skip to the time on screen to avoid the spoilers. The first character I want to discuss is Canute. Canute is first introduced as a very weak prince who must be protected to be able to do anything, but by the end of the first season, Canute goes from not being able to talk to strangers to standing up to his father, the king, and getting Askeladd and Thorkel to back him. This transformation is a slow one, and at the cost of many loved ones, but Canute goes from being someone with no cause or purpose to a real player in the story's plot, who takes up the cause to change the world for the better. Canute quickly becomes one of the most likable and strong characters in the series, and his transformation is earned through his slow, meaningful development. There is also a really depressing element to how his character is written. In the beginning, Canute lives his life praying and only really interacting with a few people who have ever shown him affection. But when Rengar is killed, Canute is forced to evolve into a cold and harsh ruler. It creates the feeling that Canute is only forced this way because of the world around him. Even though his arc is seemingly a heroic one as he goes through what can be considered the hero's journey, the way his story is viewed is more of a tragedy because of the harsh realities of the world around him. Canute is a deep exploration of how violence can shape a person, and that exploration is also deeply rooted in Thor Fionn. Thor Fionn is just as interesting, even though his development is not as linear as Canute's. Thor Fionn starts the series as a young, kind boy, but is quickly turned into a killer who only cares about revenge and nothing else. He is haunted by the death of his father, and follows his father's killer, Askeladd, for years in hopes that he will one day be able to revenge Thors. Thor Fionn really grows in complexity when you look at his relationship with Askeladd. Askeladd has weirdly filled the role of a father figure with the death of Thoris, but is also a representation of what Thor Fionn has become. Askeladd, as a child, fell to the similar path of revenge as Thor Fionn, but he was actually able to kill the man he wanted revenge on, which was his father. We constantly see throughout the series Thor Fionn face Askeladd, and it always ends in a similar result. Thor Fionn always falls to his anger, so Askeladd, the smarter and more experienced fighter, wins. Thor Fionn is an exploration of the ways in which revenge can affect us, but he is also just an isolated child who had to watch his father be murdered. And at the end of the series, when Askeladd is killed by Canute, Thor Fionn is angry that he wasn't able to kill him, but is also sad that another father figure in his life is dead, and that he has no purpose left. This sets Thor Fionn up to grow out of the revenge and become something for himself in the future of the series, leaving the door wide open for the potential of a second season of this series, and one of the reasons why I am going to read the manga to see how his character evolves into something more than just a person looking for revenge. All of the characters in the show have the same complexity in differing motivations and development, but the one similarity they all share is in how the motivation is all driven through the harsh world around them, creating a really nuanced view of how war and violence shape us. And a lesser story exploring these same themes would often pose one side as purely good and the other side as purely evil. But Vinland Saga shows the whole picture and how each event changes its characters throughout the wide scope of the story. So we have all of these different characters who are nuanced and complicated that combine with a stellar and interesting plot with great production, so you get a series that comments on the deeply rooted trauma that comes with war and violence. This exploration has really interesting and borderline depressing implications when you think about how little has actually changed from when this takes place and our current affairs. Vinland Saga explores isolation, religion, revenge, and everything else that comes with being at war and having to live in a world that demands almost daily violence. But the characters keep pushing forward and keep making difficult decisions as they grow along the world around them. If nothing else, I came out of Vinland Saga with hope. The hope that Canute could create a better world. Hope that one day Thor Fionn, through all of the violence, will find a happy ending and a purpose for himself. Vinland Saga has brought me closer to the reality of these hardships, and done so while being one of the most entertaining and thoughtful things I have watched in a long time. And I don't think I could recommend this show any more highly than that. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.